basketball. And how do you like that?
That game is coming up next. Some of the best in the game. And time now for the A-list. John Saunders alongside of Stephen A. Smith. And we'll talk the A-list. We'll begin with AI. Allen Iverson, who we're going to see in the game next, but also who's about $10,000 short of some cash he had before for an altercation with a referee that almost escalated, really.
Yeah, but I'm sure you know with his wallet and size, he's not too concerned about that. But I did speak to him yesterday. I sat down with him, and basically what I said, you know, there have been many, many questions about whether or not he could coexist with Chris Webber and how successful they'd be. He talked about that. Take a look.
The trade with Chris, you know, I think it's going to only help us in the future. As far as winning and losing, we would like to be winning a lot more games, but that's not the case. You know, we still feel like we got a chance at the playoffs and we can have a successful season. There's 17 games left. It's all up to us.
Well, yeah, no, you listen to him and you're saying to yourself, can they? I even asked him whether or not he thought they could win a championship, and he said to me, Steve, I have no choice but to believe that. This is what I got to work with. This is what I have to deal with, and I'm going to do it. We will win someday because I have no choice but to believe otherwise.
And we should end something right now. This is not Kobe Shaq by any stretch of the imagination. AI will play with anybody.
Well, that is absolutely true. I mean, he's going to get his shots no matter what, but it's not like he's throwing the ball inside to Shaquille O'Neal. He's throwing it on the wing or the perimeter or the elbow, rather, to Chris Webber. Drastically different.
There could be some major coaching changes during the offseason, and one of them could happen right here in New York. The Knicks are in danger of missing the playoffs for the third time in 4 seasons. You see where they are right now. Candidates Larry Brown, Phil Jackson, Herb Williams. How do you see this one turning out, Steve?
Well, Isaiah Thomas is going to go after Larry Brown first. Phil.
He did not play well last night, the Detroit Pistons. They got blown out by LeBron James and the Cavaliers, but this is a professional squad. With Rip Hamilton out with the injury, look for this team to somehow find some offensive scoring, and Tayshaun Prince just might be the key for interim coach Gar Hurd.
And the Bud Light starting lineups tonight up front for the Pistons, Prince and the Wallaces against Korver, Webber, and D'Alembert.
Who's going to control the glass? Can Kyle Korver keep Tayshaun Prince out of the paint?
And then in the backcourt, Billups and Delfino against Iverson and Iguodala.
Billups, Iverson is the key right there. Billups did not have a good game last night. He is the finals MVP from a year ago. He is a prideful professional.
And the third member of our broadcast team, Colleen Dominguez. And Colleen, what's the word on Rip Hamilton?
Good evening, gentlemen. Well, Rip Hamilton will miss his second consecutive game tonight with a left ankle sprain. Hamilton told me he's day-to-day. He said it's the first ever ankle sprain of his career. Of course, as you said, Carlos Delfino will get the start. And of course, Philadelphia, or near Philadelphia, Coatesville, Pennsylvania, is Rip Hamilton's hometown. And he said even though he's not playing, he still has a busload of family and friends coming to the game tonight. Brent?
Colleen, day-to-day, aren't we all, as Vince Scully once said. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. And the answer, Iverson. Here's Iguodala, the rookie from Arizona. Korver from Creighton out on top. And they load Webber on that left elbow. Turn around, smooth shot. Now, keep this in mind about the 76ers, Bill. They last played on Saturday. These guys have had a couple of big practices together. That'll help.
And equally important, in that time since the Chicago loss at Chicago, they have been pounded in the media here. This is a squad that has to come out with an emotional performance tonight.
Billups had 8 turnovers against the Cavaliers. Gets it back from Delfino and nails his first shot of the game. Determined to play much better here tonight.
Talking to the coaches, Jim O'Brien and Gar Hurd, tempo is going to be absolutely critical. Philadelphia wants to get it up and down in the open court with Iverson. Detroit wants to pound it inside.
Webber on a free ball. He's put 5 quickies on the board, Bill.
Chris Webber did not play in that game in Chicago, so he's had the extra day's rest. He looks extremely sharp in the early going, Brent.
It was not the knee that kept him sidelined. It was a nerve problem in a foot, and he was very relieved when he heard that the knee that underwent surgery at Sacramento last year was not aggravated. Prince underneath with that long extended reach hit. Perhaps an underrated player, although a lot of people have picked up on him in the last couple of years.
The evolution of Tayshaun Prince as a professional has really made this year's Detroit Pistons team vastly superior to last year's World Championship squad.
The answer is bold. Scoring. Goaltending on Wallace.
Off the board. Ben Wallace, as important a defensive force as there is in the entire NBA. The ball's off the glass. You cannot do that. The quickness of Allen Iverson, and that as a little guy is what you want to do.
You'll settle for this, won't you? Nope, there's the first miss of the night. Ethan gave me a stat. I was all ready to drop it on the audience, and then they missed one.
We'll take 5 for 6 anything.
We will. Nice on the run in low to D'Alembert, who finishes.
Well, Samuel D'Alembert's story is just so nice, the way he's evolved into a real player, teaming up with Allen Iverson, who finds him, Iverson does, for so many easy opportunities at the hoop.
And Bill is good a story off the court, too. The help that he has given his native Haiti and the problems that they have gone through with revolutions and hurricanes over the last couple of years. Battle for the rebound, loose ball, scooped up now. Here comes Iguodala. Dish to a running D'Alembert, who rolls it in, and it's 11-4. As we figured, the 76ers would come to play. Rested tonight. Weber looks fresh. Folks, you've counted him out too early. Believe me.
Chris Weber to start the game. Steps out on his second touch. Drains the 3. 2 touches, 2 jumpers, and then Allen Iverson, you got to keep him out of the paint, but it's just too tough. The rotation defensively is just not happening at all. And then transition basketball. Philadelphia starts the game 5 for 5. A very powerful 7-point lead for the hometown Sixers.
Well, Colleen Dominguez, the Pistons tonight, are without head coach Larry Brown, and of course Allen Iverson played for him here.
That's right, Brent. And an interesting moment before tip-off at the captain's meeting at center court. Allen Iverson was talking to Detroit's Ben Wallace, and he had some nice words for his former coach Larry Brown.
Let's do it, man. Hey, Jay, have a good one. Hey, tell the coach, man. Tell him I said get well. God bless him. Tell him I'll be praying for him. All right. All right, love, baby.
So Garfield Hurd is the boss of the Pistons tonight. We understand, and I'm sure Larry is watching this game, underwent hip surgery and then the complications with the bladder, and has had a painful time of it. And Larry, everybody wishes him the best and hope the coach is back this weekend.
Gar Hurd has done an outstanding job as Philadelphia comes out with his own defense, changing it up, trying to capitalize on the fact that Rip Hamilton is unable to play tonight.
Here is Delfino, and it is rejected by D'Alembert, who is off to a very positive start. Behind Iverson, Korver, the 3 expert. Yes!
Kyle Korver, third best three-point shooter in the NBA. He's made a remarkable 72% of his three-point shots this year.
You know, but you made an interesting point before we went on the air. He's a pretty good all-around basketball player, as Rasheed Wallace cannot finish down low.
Kyle Korver can play all aspects of the game. He's often overlooked because with Iverson, all the attention he draws now with the focus on Chris Webber, but Korver's got a game.
We see what Jim O'Brien and the 76er coaching staff have started to work on as Iverson hits that. Iverson ran the baseline without the basketball. The one thing you must do with Chris Webber is you must make him the passer. Even though he wasn't that at that time, they've started red hot here tonight, 7 of 7.
Chris Webber is no longer the physical force that he used to be, but he can really become a passer. And this matchup between Chris Webber and Ben Wallace, I think Ben Wallace has to punish Chris Webber tonight physically to really take a toll on Webber and wear him down by the 4th quarter.
Here comes Webber. Now he'll go to one of his favorite spots. Elbow a little bit extended, just inside, and just what you said, Ben is trying to go to work on him. Makes him pick that dribble up, and Iverson takes it off the pass, works the baseline, and he's fouled by Rasheed.
That is a very tough call against Rasheed Wallace. The baseline is your friend, is your teammate. He had him right there along the baseline. Iverson had nowhere to go whatsoever. Fortunately for Philadelphia, they're not turning the ball over, which has really plagued them in their difficulties of late.
Iverson works with it in the paint, and here it is. D'Alembert finishes from the Iverson assist. And Iverson starts the game with 4 assists and 4 points, Bill.
The exuberance and joyful enthusiasm that we're seeing from this Philadelphia 76er team is a great sign for their loyal fans.
The one thing that the media and fans everywhere need in abundance is just a little more patience. You gotta have it, folks. I'm telling you, there are no miracles in this business, just hard work. Iverson, speaking of a worker, couldn't get that one to fall. Stolen by Iverson. Iverson.
Detroit looks really out of sync without Rip Hamilton.
Went to the alley-oop short. Ben Wallace, Korver's got it back, and here comes Iverson.
Wild play.
Yeah, they've turned it over. He'd have been better off actually forcing the shot on that.
Make the simple pass if you're Allen Iverson.
Delfino blocked by, how about D'Alembert in the start that he's off to, huh?
D'Alembert's throwing him down off the nice layoffs by Iverson, blocking shots, igniting fast breaks. Tempo all Philadelphia early on with very few turnovers.
And Iverson's fouled.
We speak about those turnovers. In the last 3 weeks, Iverson has had games of 11 and 12 turnovers. Now, the NBA record for most turnovers in a game is 14 by John Drew of the Atlanta Hawks years ago. To get 12 turnovers in a game, you've got to be a really good player because the coach is going to yank you out if you're not.
That's such a good point. Weber is on the free throw line. Yeah, one thing, Weber and Iverson are two outstanding free throw shooters. At the end of close games, when these guys get together, you can put in either of their hands. They'll hit 80% for you on the line. As Ben Wallace has picked up 2, so maybe too physical, huh? He's got to go out right now.
But they've got Antonio McDyess.
Do you like McDyess on this team?
Tremendous pickup for them. They get him, and that's what world championship teams need to do. The starting 5 for Detroit is so strong, but now you bring in a guy who hasn't had a championship, who's only been in the playoffs 1 year in his entire career, Antonio McDyess. Stunning, and now he's got a chance at a world championship ring.
Delfino, who really did not do much, is going over to the sideline, and Lindsey Hunter, the veteran for the Pistons, checks into that backcourt.
But a league right now, the NBA, that's decimated with injuries.
I brag about the guy, and he comes and throws a donut for him. Come on, Riz. Long 3 from Billups. He's got great range.
Well, Chauncey Billups has to forget about setting guys up. Last night he was trying to get everybody involved, and they struggled mightily on the offensive end.
Yeah, it's been a tough transition. Larry Brown, of course, is harder on his point guards than any other position because that's what he played when he came out of North Carolina into the pros. And Billups really deserves a lot of credit for what he accomplished last year for the champions. As Korver comes again. Oh, baby.
The athleticism of Kyle Korver, the explosiveness, the quick release, the ability to fight through guys who are grabbing him and holding him. And he, at the early stages of this game, he has taken it right to Tayshaun Prince, and that was my biggest concern in the individual matchups tonight.
Over the top to Rashid. Weber comes over to help defensively. Good rotation, but that leaves McDyess open, and the Pistons find it.
Rasheed Wallace playing a very passive game tonight. And while Colleen talked about Rip Hamilton being from Coatesville, Rasheed is from right downtown here in Philadelphia, Simon Gratz High School.
Oh, John Chaney wanted him so badly at Temple as a high school player here. He used to come watch Temple, and of course, Dean Smith, after winning a championship, that's Weber putting it in for the baseline. Dean Smith, after winning a national championship in New Orleans, flew up here to continue to recruit Rasheed Wallace the next day. That's how important he was. Ball out of bounds.
And as a follow-up to Rasheed playing high school ball at Simon Gratz here, in today's Philadelphia Daily News, they had a list of the top players in the last 30 years in the history of high school basketball in this great city here. Rasheed Wallace was number 2 after
Banks.
Gene Banks.
You gotta be. Banks is the all-time legend in this. Was Kobe on that team?
Kobe was not even on the list.
Wow. Blocked. Out of bounds. I don't think I've ever seen D'Alembert turn in a more impressive quarter than he has here, defensively and offensively.
You've mentioned it already, Brent, the patience of the fans. It's come together here now. What the Sixers have to think about is how they package this. You have to find some combination of rest and work, and also the enthusiasm.
It's not a bad shot when Korver's pulling the trigger. Iguodala with a long reach of his. He gets the steal, and he'll bring it back. Iguodala's been rather quiet so far. Iverson will launch a 3. Yes!
That's a huge key for Philadelphia. Somebody else creating the shot for Iverson. That time it was Iguodala. Promising rookie, sure to be first team all-rookie by the end of the season.
McDyess gives it down to Rasheed. Back to the basket. He'll turn on D'Alembert, stays with him. And a little bit too closely. And Rasheed is shaken up as he goes down.
Health so critical. You see the Duncan injury. See the injuries that have decimated the Minnesota Timberwolves this year. Ray Allen in and out of the lineup for Seattle right now.
Mike Abdenauer, one of the best trainers in the league, is up. He's an institution with the Pistons. Rashid shaking it off. There's Mike.
But with Mike, he's such a trusting person. I mean, you have to have that relationship with the trainer that you just can look at and say, okay, I know he has my best interests at heart.
If you're an announcer and you got a hangover, he's one of the first trainers to see.
By the way, Brent, what is a hangover?
We'll find out tomorrow morning. Oh, Mr. Walton, I'll tell you, huh? Man, right in the middle of March Madness, the NBA battle for the last playoff spots heating up. You just can't beat hoops this
Speaking
time
of tomorrow morning, I'm going up tomorrow. There's a big celebration up at Syracuse for the NCAA regional finals up there, celebrating the 50th anniversary of the invention and establishment of the 24-second shot clock.
Really?
Yes, and Dolph Shays is going to be there. John Havlicek, Earl Lloyd, the first African-American to ever play in the NBA. It's going to be a wonderful 3-day celebration.
Oh, that'll be great.
Looking forward to that.
Tar Heels of North Carolina, the Syracuse region. Huh? Here's McDyess back to the basket. C-Webb is on him.
Oh, great screen by McDyess.
Rashid with great range. Misses off the back of the iron. There's McDyess, has it knocked away. There's Korver. He's contributing defensively. The Sixers look rested tonight. They just look much fresher than the Pistons, who again are playing back-to-back.
And 3 out of 4 with the game on Sunday where they had to work so hard, even though Duncan went out in the first 2 minutes.
And then you said Rip Hamilton went out after that, but
Rip
came
Hamilton
back,
went
right,
out,
Bill?
and he played a couple of minutes after that, but realized right away that he was unable to go. And you know, this is one of the most durable athletes that all of professional sports has seen in years. And when he can't answer the bell, you know there's something wrong.
Jim O'Brien likes this lineup so much he's sticking with it for the entire quarter. Garfield Hurd trying to push some buttons, trying to get back in it. Billups and Prince have stayed on the floor, but Campbell is now in along with McDyess, and the veteran Eldon Campbell closes.
Well, this is really special that Eldon Campbell is in there, because even though they picked him up a few weeks ago at the trading deadline, he has not seen any action whatsoever.
I'll tell you, as Iverson comes up with a jump shot, knocks it down again. There's 4 76ers already with 6+ points in this game, and Iverson leads the way with 9 and 4 assists.
Philadelphia is representing the 2 most important skills in basketball and in life: balance and quickness. Everybody's involved, and the Sixers are to the ball first every time.
It's the prettiest game when the rock is shared, folks, but there's a lot of opportunity for selfishness. That's just the nature of the game. We come down now at 2:27. The 76ers behind their new big 2.
You're really confusing me, Brent. Hangover, selfishness, what's all this about? Right now, though, it's been a thing of beauty.
The truth will set you free, Mr. Walton.
I think there's a song in there somewhere. Oh, Philadelphia, what can the Pistons do about it?
Lead the defending champions. NBA TV tomorrow. Dallas out at Sacramento. Coverage begins at 11 p.m. Eastern. ABC on Sunday. Houston at San Antonio, 1 Eastern. And on TNT next Thursday, Cleveland at Chicago, followed by Minnesota at the Lakers. Bill, let's take a look at the standings. At
the bottom of the Eastern Conference, the race for the 8th spot there. Indiana at 7th. They're winning right now barely against San Antonio, playing without Tim Duncan. But Orlando, they're in a free fall right now. Steve Francis has got to get his act together. New Jersey, they've won 5 in a row, and they're right back in the thing. The Knicks pounding the Celtics by 12 at the Garden tonight. But of all those teams, Philadelphia has Iverson and Chris Webber, and the other teams don't. And this is a talent-driven league.
And right now, Bill, for Aaron McKee, the 11-year veteran who did play at Temple for John Chaney, is on the floor. Korver stays out there. Dallenberg off to a very big start. C-Webb stays out there. And so McKee is the 2 guys who really have been impressive, kind of his role. Well, Korver in particular has done some nice things here tonight. And Dallenberg has been unbelievable.
The more I see Kyle Korver play, the more I like him. He just does everything.
Spun out. Phillips will bring it back. The Pistons will try to get their act together here with McDyess and Campbell still on the floor. Here's Hunter. Prince will try to get it back and a foul call.
There's an example of the decline physically of Chris Webber. Why would he, in his prime, ever think about grabbing or holding a player like Tayshaun Prince coming away from the basket on a screen? But now, with no longer the explosiveness, well into his 30s, so many years, so many hard miles, he has to think about pulling the veteran tricks.
Webber trying to stick with Tayshaun over the top. That spins out and right back to him, and a foul against Detroit.
Korver's quickness has had an instrumental impact on this game. He is denying Tayshaun Prince everywhere. Prince has to have a big game offensively with the loss of Rip Hamilton, particularly now that Garherd has gone to his deep bench of McDyess and Eldon Campbell with the Wallace twins on the bench.
Webber slides in. Couldn't get the hook to fall, and the follow-up puts the 76ers on a free throw line. Dallenberg.
Chris has no elevation, no ability to explode. When he makes that quick drop step, you want to think about faking. You make the drop step, you come to your stop. Don't try to continue and finish through with the explosive move, but then you come back with the reverse pivot and deliver the jump hook that no player in the history of basketball has ever been able to come back and block defensively.
Carlos Arroyo from Puerto Rico and Florida International, 4th year, acquired for the Utah Jazz. He'll run the point as Billups set down. He's pure point guard. Best international game he ever played. He orchestrated an upset of the United States by the Puerto Rican team last summer.
And that was a blowout game.
Yes, it was.
He was brilliant in his leadership, his execution. The statistics were phenomenal.
Eldon bumping down. Short hook not there. Webber puts it on the floor, waits for Iverson. Iverson attacks the paint, the pull-up.
Sixers are starting to miss their shots now, but can the Pistons come up with enough offensive firepower?
Arroyo trying to go to work on Iverson. Gets inside him, yes.
If you're Philly, Arroyo's down. Race it up the court. Take advantage of that.
Iverson does. And he finishes at the other end against Hunter.
Iverson with a 2-point-per-game lead in the scoring race over Kobe Bryant. Kobe missed those 14 games with the sprained ankle. I think it's an insurmountable lead the way Iverson's playing right now.
Deflected by McKee, but caught in the corner. Lindsey short. McKee rebounds.
Every time Philadelphia gets the ball, they're just pushing it.
Iverson fires a 3. Offensive rebound for C-Webb. He's on that wing over there.
But they've got to move and cut away from the ball. Don't just stand there and have him try to play like Allen Iverson. That's not his game.
It's almost like he's waiting for a cutter. So he'll run a little isolation and feed to Dallenberg. Put back, no. Cleaned up by Tayshaun. At the buzzer, no. Waved off. Would not have counted. Into the first quarter, the fans appreciate, Bill, what the 76ers accomplished.
All they want is effort. They got it right now. Philadelphia looks tremendous. Detroit, they need a wake-up call. 57% shooting for the Sixers in the hole.
And as a result, they lead the defending NBA champions 31-17. Well, 6 of the 31 belonging to Kyle Korver, who will start the second quarter with a little defensive instruction. Colleen, help me out here. Who does that look remind us of as we take a look at him here, knocking down one of his 2 threes?
I gotta tell you, I think Kyle Korver is a dead ringer for actor Ashton Kutcher. In fact, I asked him about it before the game, and he said his teammates tease him all the time about it, and when he goes to other cities, everyone mistakes him for Kutcher, especially girls. He says he's not really complaining about that. He says he's never met the actor, but he would like to.
Never has to wait in line for a table in Los Angeles.
What's to complain about? Kyle Korver,
Life is good. This is a great country or what?
He has finished second and third in the last 2 All-Star three-point contests. And Kyle Korver is one of those guys. He is going to get an extremely nice contract at the end of this season where he's a free agent.
Campbell misses left-handed, and Iguodala pounds it down. Every time I see Iguodala, I think of what might have been, folks. He came out of Illinois. He was recruited by Arkansas. And when Nolan Richardson lost his job, that turned him loose from his scholarship, and that's how Arizona came in. Illinois did not pursue him aggressively. Bill Self was the coach down there, and they might have had Iguodala and that Illini team last year. I mean, think about that with those guards and Iguodala. Man.
Andre Iguodala made the right choice to go to the University of Arizona and their Hall of Fame coach, Lute Olson.
Here's Rogers, Rusty from Wake Forest, missing 3.
Okay,
folks, I'll defend the Illini. Don't worry about it. Before the night's over, I'll get on Big Bill.
And I'll defend the Pac-10.
What about those gutty little Bruins? When are they going to make the Sweet 16 as Elton is joined on the iron?
Well, we, the alumni, we have our sights set on something a little higher than the Sweet 16.
Okay. Here's Dallenberg at the free throw line. Continues his impressive start here, Bill, as we start the second quarter.
Dallenberg stroking it. Philadelphia, they're shooting 58% from the floor. But Iguodala, the only Philly starter who hasn't scored yet tonight. But he does have 2 rebounds and now 4 assists.
Yeah, that was a nice pass. Remember when he set up Iverson?
Right.
And you made the observation. It's good to have somebody else who can get the ball to Allen.
He's not looking to score. I mean, this is a guy who is so gifted. I mean, his job is to play the defense. And you look at his body. I mean, he's just powerful. And he's so
Who's
young.
your rookie of the year?
Ben Gordon, Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The other guys are good. Okafor and Howard are good. But this guy's had impact on the standings and winning games.
Who's your 6th man of the year as Campbell has followed via the free throw line?
That I haven't decided yet. There hasn't been.
Now, has anybody ever won Rookie of the Year and 6th Man of the Year? Think about that.
No.
Folks, I've worked with him now for a year. I've never heard him silent. It's unbelievable, okay?
Well, there have been players who have been Rookie of the Year and MVP.
Yes.
That would be Wilt and Wes Unseld.
Right.
But Rookie of the Year, and that's a great call.
Yeah. It's
6th man and Rookie of the Year. Brent Musburger on top of it.
You know, when I was looking at Iguodala, he's a little bit overlooked. Okafor at Charlotte's outstanding. But if you look at the numbers that the truck just put up, you know, he's logged a lot of minutes and done some good things here.
And every game is playing against the league's greatest stars.
Absolutely.
Vince Carter, Kobe Bryant.
Oh, yeah. How would you like to do that as a rookie? They are so pleased with him here. Coach O'Brien had so many nice things to say about him today when we talked to Jim.
But that's why a franchise like Philadelphia is so blessed to have a Billy King as their general manager. Billy King played at Duke for Mike Krzyzewski, so he knows of the benefits of going to Arizona to play for Lute Olson, to play for Roy Williams, to play for Mike Krzyzewski, because you come out with character, a work ethic, fundamental base, physical fitness.
You know, you look at the follow-up on that as the Pistons come back, and here comes Lindsey Hunter now. He's 1-on-3. He'll try to go with the underhand shot. If you take a look at their roster, every one of their players went to a college someplace. You know, Billy King understands the maturity level of these youngsters when they come out, and that folks, it's not basketball. I'm not knocking. You can learn basketball in the NBA. You got the greatest coaches in the world, time to practice. And there is Billy watching, but it's the maturity issue that I think becomes the question when you take those youngsters and throw them to the professional wolves immediately.
But just look at where they played. Georgetown, Iverson for John Thompson, a Hall of Famer. Chris Webber plays for Steve Fisher at Michigan. Iguodala for Lute Olson at Arizona. Salmons, McKee for John Chaney over at Temple here.
Iverson goes deep. Look at that pass, and Iguodala a little sloppy on the finish. Wasn't quite under control. That would have been a highlight there for him. I'm sure he was looking for that. Yeah, you can see his long arms. Iguodala's got a great NBA reach. Now they go low to Ben, and he's fouled. Now, you know, the free throws But you know who? I'm going to ask you. You know who the worst free throw shooter career in the NBA is right now? The active one.
I would say Ben Wallace.
See, you know what? Yeah, I know, because I gave you a tip. Because, you know, I honestly thought it was Shaquille O'Neal.
No. Shaq's shooting 51% this year. He's like skyrocketing to the top of the chart.
That's what happens when you get close to Bob McAdoo.
Well, Bob McAdoo.
Bob McAdoo should have been in that list of the best 50 players of all time.
Absolutely.
To this day, I say he's the one. Now, the problem is, I don't know who to take off.
Who do you take? That's always the problem with the list. But what about Joe Dumars, who's here tonight? What about Dennis Johnson? What about Dominique Wilkins, who's a lock for the Hall of Fame this year? There were some tremendous players left off that list. Right now, though, when was the last time Detroit scored? They're still at 17 points.
And there's a pushing foul by Carlos Arroyo. Well, you can't beat fun at the old ballpark with Bill Walton. They've gone 4 minutes and 5 seconds scoreless. Timeout.
I second that emotion. Best wishes and good health to you, John. Welcome back. We've missed you terribly.
Absolutely. Those hockey players are tough, though. They can recover, man. Here's Korver up firing. You remember that game, don't you? He knocks down another 3. Once upon a time, they used to play.
Detroit still has 17 points, Brent. They're shooting 28%.
I was hoping nobody would notice. They are in that time, Billy.
Maybe Philadelphia is the greatest defensive team in the history of the league.
That's it. We, folks, Jim O'Brien and Dick Harder over there is a defensive assistant. We're going to give him high mark. Over the last 6 minutes and 16 seconds, Detroit's 1 of 9 from the field with 3 turnovers, and Larry Brown is going to watch a movie with his wife. Enough of this.
And all the things I said in the open about the professionalism and the responsibility of the reigning world champion,
you can take it back.
I retract it all.
Billups, the deep 3, knocks it down. That's one way to get back. Chauncey Billups can light it up from outside. But again, this team missing their leading scorer here tonight is Rip Hamilton. And he's such a vital part of their offense. And he ends a run. I mean, they don't go 5 minutes without a score when he's out there.
But this is the unit that Detroit can make some ground against. The second squad for Jim O'Brien is just not that good. Tough shot selection by Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, it is a weak bench, understandably so. As Iverson in the paint to pull up.
Iverson trying to win his 4th scoring title, joined the likes of George Gervin, who has 4. Wilt has 7. Jordan with 10.
Arroyo took it in deep.
Look at the defense by Kyle Korver.
And he went by him on the baseline, though, with no help. Somebody's got to come to help Korver when he gets to the baseline like that. You've got to seal it up.
The way Korver made the defensive stance, you would anticipate that the defensive assignments are to force the wingman to that baseline. Mark Jackson a little bit slow to come and recover.
Right. Weber's back.
But also, Korver is so used to playing with Samuel Dallenberg, who always comes for the block. Rodney Rogers not quite
a good point, because Dallenberg has been closing tonight. Yeah.
Rodney Rogers not quite in shape yet at this point in his NBA career.
Iverson, the 3.
When you look at his numbers over the course of his career, just spectacular. We just tend to take these remarkable talents and forces for granted.
In his short, Iverson tried to get it out on the dribble. Arroyo thought it was off him and out of bounds. He's asking Joe to turn it over, but he won't. He said he didn't see it.
I'm with Alan. I'm with Carlos Arroyo on that. Yeah, the way Iverson just sort of kept heading right up the court, I think, had a heavy influence on the referee's decision.
On the post, here's C-Webb. Korver cuts.
He's got 2 guys on him. He should pick them apart.
Iverson was camped out on that pass, just didn't knock it down. Tap back now to Iverson. Here come again. Great drive down the baseline against Delfino. They don't have anybody who can move like that in Buenos Aires.
Welcome to the NBA, Carlos Delfino, a reserve player on that Argentinian gold medal winning team in Athens.
There was some team, Ginobili was on, Nocioni, if I pronounce it correct, who plays with the Bulls.
Right.
Here's Allen.
Allen Iverson, who ultimately with Tim Duncan bears responsibility for that embarrassing loss over in Athens. Because whenever you have two great players like Iverson and Duncan on a team which had more than enough talent to win, and Iverson with 7 points in the last minute 40 seconds, showing what kind of force he is.
I don't like to disagree with you, but Larry Brown,
I like it when you disagree.
Larry Brown said very nice things about Iverson after that summer experience. They really thought he was a warrior. I think, Bill, it's more apt to be some of those youngsters didn't know how to handle the situation. And I guess if you second-guess the coach, from what I've heard, LeBron maybe should have logged some more minutes, but you know what the heck, there's always another Olympics coming up in a few years. We got to get it back.
Most of the guys I know are never really satisfied with a third-place finish.
Isn't that the truth? The silver went to the Italian team, and the U.S. settling for the bronze.
Ooh, tough hands, Antonio McDyess.
We've got all those coaches who are free agents. They should name one of them the Olympic coach. What are they waiting for? That's the only job that Phil Jackson's not being rumored for. Come on, let's get the Olympic team turned around.
As the price keeps going up for Phil Jackson.
ESPN's presentation of NBA Wednesday, brought to you by Jeep. Trail-rated capability, only in a Jeep 4x4. And KFC's new 99-cent snacker. Now your dollar goes further at KFC.
Well, we'll check in on the KFC storyline, Bill, and it is all 76ers here tonight.
It's all happening. The sticky fingers for Allen Iverson. 18 points for the league-leading scorer, leader in minutes, second in steals behind Larry Hughes of the Washington Wizards, and then Chris Webber, who was so strong early. He had 7 points in the first 6.5 minutes. He has not scored since then, but it's the woeful shooting of the world champion Detroit Pistons, a noted defensive team themselves. They're clanking, and they're allowing Philadelphia to run it up right now with a very impressive 51%.
16 on the shot, 5:45 in the half. And John Saunders and the gang will be coming up at halftime. A lot of stories unfolding around the league tonight. The Knicks still lead the Celtics by a dozen. That's in the second. John will have an update on that and all the scores, and Rashid can't finish. They have missed some gimmies down there, and there's numbers with Iguodala handling. Korver thought about it.
Nice pass.
Beautiful pass to Webber.
The flow. I mean, Kyle Korver makes it happen. He never holds on to the ball. You got a great force in scoring with Iverson. You got the soft hands of Chris Webber. Are you old enough to remember when Chris Webber could dunk those balls?
Fab Five, baby. I'm old enough to remember when he called a 6 timeout.
The ball movement for Philadelphia. Been concerned about what kind of ball movement there would be on this squad, because with Iverson, who's never really played with a truly great teammate here, and all the chronicles of guys who have struggled with Allen Iverson. Some people think that the guys who have had their best success with Allen Iverson have been the guys who don't want the ball in their hands, like an Eric Snow, like an Aaron McKee. But Chris Webber is a guy who deserves the ball, and if he could get it early in the shot clock up at that high post where he could hit some cutters and they could learn how to move off him, this team could improve dramatically.
We can't overlook the fact that he led this 76er team into the NBA Finals one year.
When he was the MVP in 2001.
And they won the first game in overtime. And then Shaq and the gang put it together for L.A.
Yeah, the Lakers got serious.
They really did, didn't they? And it looks like the Shaq series again this year.
And that's why I'm saying that Stan Van Gundy's the coach of the year, because he got Shaq to become a professional again. Got him in shape, got him to lose that weight, coming to play every single night, even though they lost last night at Houston in a game that they did not play that well. But right now, Shaq and Steve Nash would be head-to-head for MVP of the year, Stan Van Gundy coaching.
And if they win, I think that the trade is going to go down as one of the worst in NBA history. He's only 33 years old. Think about now, Bill. Think about what has happened here in the East versus the West. For some period of time, the West was all dominant. Now suddenly, and let's throw in Antoine Walker, who was in Dallas, went through Atlanta, back up in Boston. Weber comes out here. Now we got some injuries. Rasheed Wallace comes out of Portland. Now we got Tim Duncan is down with San Antonio. So suddenly, there's a little more equality between the East and the West, and if the Shaq and the gang rolls on in, they could well wind up being a favorite in the finals.
I think the Eastern Conference is the stronger conference right now. Sacramento is not near as good as they used to be. They're in a longer-term rebuilding program. Denver's playing very good basketball.
Yeah, George Karl's done a good job there.
Dallas up in the air with the coaching transition and trying to accumulate ever more ball players in Mark Cuban's fantasy league team there. Chris Webber, can he finish? All right.
All right, see what.
Yeah, but see, Ben Wallace has not done a job of taking advantage of his strengths against Chris Webber tonight. And Rasheed Wallace has really come up with nothing tonight. So it's a disappointing performance to this point by the world champions.
I agree. You would have thought after a loss in Cleveland that they would have responded a little bit better than what we have seen here, but they are missing Rip.
But when you're the world champions, when you're as great a team as they are, that's the kind of loss that can spark you, where you just sit on that plane, on the bus, in the locker room, in the hotel, and you're just angry. You just want to come out, and you want that next game to start right away. And I don't see the passion from Detroit as the world champions that we're seeing from the 8th place team in the Eastern Conference, the hometown 76ers.
Well, NBA TV is your all-access channel for everything basketball. So tune in every morning to NBA TV Daily and NBA TV Fantasy Hoops for an in-depth recap of tonight's exciting highlights and fantasy implications. It's NBA TV. It's all day, all night, and it's all basketball. So Andrew Bogut, his coach out at Utah, has compared him to a young Bill Walton. That has to please you, though.
I wish I could play like that. I wish I could run. I wish I could jump. I wish I could feel that wind blowing through my hair.
That'd be great. Be young again. I'll tell you, Bill, he passes like you, except he's down a little bit lower with his game. You know, because I recall the great championship run, and you cut people apart from the free throw line. But he is a very good passer down low. I will tell you that about him.
That was 28 years ago, Brent, when you called those games right here in this magnificent city, right across the parking lot.
It's still over there, baby. Game 2, Maurice Lucas saying to Dawkins and his brother, "You want more of me?" That series was never the same.
And either was Darryl or George McGinnis. But look at the game Andre Iguodala is playing. And he is just everywhere. The defense, he's leading the break. Nice poke away by Aaron McKee, and all Chauncey Billups can do is grab him from behind.
He's had 6 rebounds, Iguodala has, and 7 assists. 6 rebounds and 7 assists.
But the sense of where the ball's going, everybody else was standing there watching, waiting, and then Aaron McKee, no longer the player he once was, but still always ready as a true professional. Chauncey, all he can do is the copper tone defense.
The copper tone defense?
Well, pull the pants down.
That was a beautiful. What an ad campaign that was, huh? With the little kids.
Now they would call it indecency and obscenity.
Yeah, that's right. Political correctness, you can't have that ad now.
They can't get the ball in bounds. Who's going to run to it?
Phillips outing McKee here with 3:24 to go. Up by 21. And Phillips.
Detroit has to play smarter than that. When the guy starts dribbling that many times, you know he's up against it. He's in trouble. He has nowhere to go. That's when you have to stop reaching. You just keep forcing him toward the sideline or the baseline. Mental breakdown that time by Chauncey. He's a better player than me.
You know what the positive thing about this early blowout is?
What's that?
I'm going to get to see Darko Milicic.
I don't know. Darko, he doesn't play at all. It's frustrating for him. And the important thing for Darko right now is to not lose his spirit. and to not just break down mentally and say, what's it all about anyway? Because in the NBA, your chance is going to come one day. And you better be ready, because it doesn't just keep coming back.
I would think that the summer is going to be critical for him.
Well, last summer was supposed to be, but he broke his thumb at the very end of the finals against the Lakers last year and couldn't play all summer.
Couple of minutes.
Yeah. He's got a big scar on that thumb because of it, too.
Yeah, they had to put a pin in, and then they took it out. So Philly, how did the starters and the bench break down? We talked about the bench.
Well, the first 47 points of the game were scored by Jim O'Brien's starters, but the last 7 by the bench, and that's the real weakness. But regardless, Detroit has not been able to capitalize. They've got a lot of work ahead of them.
Gar Hurd will try to circle the wagons here with the Pistons. He could do a lounge act out in his hometown in Vegas. Did you see that move there?
What a talented performer, Greg Anthony. I just want to know when his CD is going to come out, and if he's going to ask for a month off the way Ron Artest did with his CD.
Bill, let me send a missile to Stephen A. Lighten up. Some of these people pay good money to watch the 76ers beat up on the Pistons. Don't shrug your shoulders and say stay in bed. Come on.
The fans are ecstatic here.
Absolutely.
But this is the kind
This is his home, isn't it?
This is the kind of, yes, Stephen A. is from Philadelphia, but this is the kind of basketball that the fans expected to happen immediately when Chris Webber showed up. And when it didn't, they were upset. And Chris Webber is no longer the player who can just come out and outwork guys, outlast them, and outrun them, and outjump them.
Stephen A., did he write the article to fire the coach?
Oh, yes. Well, no, Stephen A. recently had a column here in Philadelphia where he writes regularly. And he said he went around the entire building, came to the game, which he does a lot.
Yeah.
And
he's a big fan.
And he couldn't find a single person in the building who had anything good to say about Jim O'Brien, the coach. And it was basically saying, it's time for this guy to go. I don't agree with that.
No, I don't either.
I am a huge Jim O'Brien fan and have known him for a long, long time. And Jim O'Brien, this is his hometown as well.
One of the great players to come out of St. Joe's, and that's a school that has produced 7 head coaches in the NBA. Indiana is the only one with more, and a rebound by Wallace.
Maybe not the shot you'd want from Samuel.
No, I didn't. I loved your reaction. I let you handle that one. And here's Big Ben. And Rashid can't get, I mean, just won't stay down for the Pistons tonight. I mean, they're missing some of Steve Lavin's famous bunnies here tonight. I'll tell you, about a half a dozen of them.
The guys mentioned it in the studio, though, is that with the comfortable spot that Detroit has, there's no pressure on them. But the problem with playing like this is that you run the risk of injury. Too casual, too relaxed, not focused in on the task at hand. Then you step on somebody's foot, like Rip did the other day against Devin Brown, and it changes everything.
This is a team that is comfortable in the 2nd spot behind Miami, and insiders on the team tell me we're not going to catch Miami, but we would like to protect the 2nd spot. Now that's their mindset.
They've got a 5-game lead over Boston, but Boston is 11-1 since the trade for Antoine Walker. So now, while in just 3.5 weeks it's very difficult to make up 5.5 games, there's Joe Dumars, a 2-time world champion as a player, Finals MVP, and Executive of the Year. He's hiding.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's embarrassed by this, by the performance, because again, this is a team that lost last night. Now there they are with the 24 losses. Miami with 17, and
Boston with 29 there. Washington with 29, but Washington's not playing well right now. The injury to Antoine Jameson has been devastating, and they've been getting blown out in the West. Cleveland, we'll have to see how the coaching change works out. They have not played well of late. Chicago, a lot of talent there, but way too inconsistent at this point.
Friday night, ESPN's got a doubleheader for you. Game 1, MVP candidates collide with Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire, the Phoenix Suns. They'll travel east to challenge Shaquille O'Neal, Dwayne Wade, in the Miami Heat. So that'll be a good one. And then in the nightcap, Stephon Marbury and the New York Knicks try to stay in the Eastern playoff race against Ray Allen. And the Northwest Division leading Seattle Supersonics. Action begins with the Kia NBA shoot-around 7:30 Eastern here on ESPN.
And while the Knicks are playing well and continue to be comfortably ahead of Boston tonight in New York is going on a devastating West Coast road trip. And this late in the season, a cross-country road trip is very difficult for teams on the bubble.
Pull up by Iverson.
Iverson, a career 41% shooter, having a magnificent game tonight from the outset. Just set a pace that no one else could match.
A 60-point game back in February and one for Tayshaun Prince. And Iverson with 20 points already here tonight. That 60 came against Orlando on the 12th of February.
He just looks at a good defensive player there, Lindsey Hunter. Lindsey Hunter, a two-time world champion whose forte right now is defense on the little guys. He just torched him. There's nothing that Hunter could do.
Iverson with 9 field goals in this game, and the Pistons with only 10 total.
Well, they've been getting all their points. The Pistons, I say all their points, they have 36. They've been getting them from the free throw line, which is a difficult way to win on the road.
Iverson throws his body around. Amazing how many times he hits the deck, isn't it?
And Tayshaun Prince is just shaking his head here because down the lane, Iverson has learned that the Hollywood acting part. And granted, he's what, 5'10", weighs 150 pounds, and he's all these gigantic guys out here. But Allen is very good at flailing the arms once there's a little bit of contact. But then again, when you run into a tree, a little bit of contact for a little guy is a lot.
He has played through an assortment of injuries.
He's playing with a broken thumb right now.
The Wallaces combined in this game are 1 of 10.
And the disappointing part of that is that that's where Detroit's advantage is tonight. It's like, let's get inside and just punish this Philadelphia team, which is not deep. Dallenberg is not a power guy. Rashid has been ineffective and willing to stand out there on the perimeter.
They just can't get it to fall. That was an unbelievable sequence.
Yeah. Maybe Philadelphia is the greatest defensive team ever.
Iverson and Arroyo did a good job of just keeping his arms in the air.
Iverson has to be careful. He's going to get a technical foul here.
It was already $10,000 lighter.
Fine for getting into it with referee Mark Davis. But when Iverson gets in the air and is fading away as he drives away from the basket, no foul at all whatsoever, but just jumps right in the referee's face and says, hey, come on, put me back on the line. I like it there.
You can see Phil Ford over on the Pistons bench, a great college point guard. Just look at it, just studying Allen Iverson as you see watching the game over there. One of Larry's assistants. There's a heavy, it's Carolina blue over there on that bench over there when you look at it and say, yeah, exactly.
Why not? I mean, the job that Dean Smith has done in terms of developing not basketball players, but human beings. And there's a long list of that dominate this NBA because of the brilliance of Dean Smith.
Dallenberg.
Good defensive sequence by Rasheed Wallace. Can it lead to anything? Korver's defense in transition too good. Oh, my goodness.
Air ball from three-point range brings the derisive chant.
Watch your face on that shot. Last shot opportunity here for the dominant home team performing tonight under the leadership of Allen Iverson.
Layup's good. 60 points in the first half against the Pistons.
And Allen Iverson's got 24 of those on 10 for 16 shooting. And Detroit can't even make a layup.
A dominating first half for Philadelphia. And Allen Iverson with 10 field goals. That's as many as the entire Detroit team here in the first half. of this game.
So I guess Gar Hurd has to go into the locker room and say, hey, guys, make a shot.
He should show him something from the triple overtime. That's how you knock those down. The old famous
one of the great moments, one of the great calls ever. Rasheed Wallace just 1 for 12 shooting. Not a good performance for the front court of the world champions.
Let's go to Colleen with Chris Webber. Colleen?
Chris, 11 points at the half. Your teammate said the challenge has been trying to find the balance between you and Allen Iverson. Tonight, it looks like that on-court relationship has started to gel. How much has it?
Well, I feel it's gelling. The problem's not me and Allen playing together.
Do you want to expand on that a little?
No, I just, I understand how people say he has the ball so much and you can't score. And Allen does have the ball, probably the most out of anybody in this league, but that doesn't mean that we can't work together. And, when I wasn't the most enthused, Allen's been the one that's been supporting me and making me believe. So Allen's definitely not the problem. He's a great individual and a great player.
Getting back to tonight's game, the 3 days rest at this time of the year, how important is that for you guys?
I think it's important, especially trying to make a playoff push. We need all the energy we can get to try to make it to the playoffs. So it's very important to just teach and let us do it on the floor.
Last question, how important for you is it to make it work here in Philadelphia for you as a player?
Well, I think every team I've been with has made the playoffs, and so this year I don't want that to be any different. I want to make the playoffs and compete and just enjoy ball again.
And Chris Webber, thank you for the time. Brent, back to you.
All right, Colleen.
Hard to tell that Chris Webber is on the team that has a 22-point lead at this point.
So coming up now on the Toyota halftime show, John will be joined by the gang, and they'll talk to you about the Spurs-Pacers game.
Come up with numbers like that, a donut. This is the kind of thing where you have to go and look in the mirror and say, oh, my gosh, I let it all down today.
Yeah, exactly. And we check in with Colleen.
Hey, Brent, well, the Sixers say that they are definitely going to take advantage of the fact that the Pistons are tired with those back-to-back games and that they have 3 days of rest. They say that's helping them extremely in this game. They're also very happy with Andre Iguodala having 7 assists, which is half of the 15 assists in the first half. They cannot say enough about how great of a player they think this young kid is.
And Colleen, back-to-back coming up for Detroit. They go back home Friday night. Indiana comes to the Palace for the first time since that notorious night in November, and then the next day they'll play Boston. So back-to-backs coming up, but this time it'll be at home at the Palace for the Pistons.
And as equally embarrassing a problem as hopefully that Rip Hamilton will be playing in the game, but Detroit has missed 29 shots tonight, but they have only 1 second chance point. So they're not getting it done on the offensive glass when they do miss.
They are not competing, and you can't say it any other way. Delfino rims out, tapped by Iverson over to C-Webb, and the Pistons defense here tonight giving up 60 in the first half.
The Pistons have the second best defense by the numbers in the entire NBA. San Antonio at the top of the charts, and they have just failed to show up tonight.
Here's Wallace's second rebound, puts it into the hands of Phillips. And biggest lead, 23. We were tied once at the very start of this game, but the Pistons have never been ahead.
Iguodala one more time. He and Iverson, oh, gorgeous.
What a pass that was by Webber. That was shades of Wes Unseld, the two-handed pass going down. I never saw anybody who could throw the ball better two-handed on an outlet pass than Wes Unseld.
The strength of the Louisville graduate, the MVP of the NBA as a rookie, taking his team to the finals against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 1971, Kareem's second year. Chris Webber, I was a little bit disappointed in the way he just seemed so flat and so down at the halftime interview with Colleen.
Iverson on the pull-up. I wonder if he's not accustomed to the kind of intense media scrutiny that you get in Philadelphia.
So you're not saying it's different here than in Sacramento, are you?
Just a little bit, my friend.
But that's what you love, because
it's the passion.
If the fans don't care, I mean, then it's not exciting for you. This is a great sports town. Now the fans behind us cheering for Chris Webber all day long. See, Webb, it's your game, it's your world.
Oh, Ben Wallace Wallace on a follow with D'Alembert in behind him, and Delfino so score it. D'Alembert coming up on a goaltending call.
But the ball, I think that's a good block. I think he pushed it into the board, which is legal.
That's what I thought. I didn't think he pressed it.
But the way that Ben Wallace climbed the back there, that looked like the steps that are carved in the back of Half Dome going up there at the top of Yosemite Valley, just getting up to look over the edge.
Wallace will get the ball to fall, and it looks like he's turned it up a notch here, Bill, as we start the second half.
Well, you would hope that they would realize the stinker of a performance that they threw out there. And, you know, Philadelphia is a good team, one of the best halves that they've come up with all season long. And Detroit's hope is that Philadelphia will not be able to sustain.
Weber steps out, knocks it down from one of his preferred spots.
But that's what Chris Weber can do. He can knock down spot-up shots if somebody else will create for him. Don't ask him to go one-on-one all the time. But this team is so used to Allen Iverson just playing by himself out there.
Phillips hits the three.
Iverson loves to roam defensively. So important to him to come up with those steals all the time.
Prince is on Iguodala. They'll load Weber. Sheed, and the foul is called.
Tease him, Chris Weber. Yeah.
Let's go back to this, huh?
A couple of possessions ago, Chris Weber gets the ball defensively, and then just turn, and you see the power over the top. That comes from the hips. That comes from the waist. And unfortunately, for a guy like Chris Weber, he can't do that a lot because ultimately the power comes from the legs, and that surgically repaired knee and now the compressed nerve that he has. That's all a factor every time. The quick hands of Chris Weber.
An opportunity hoop and one for Rasheed Wallace.
It's just good to see a smile on Chris Weber's face as he walks back up the court. He knew he had that one. And just stepping out on the screen, which is not the strength of his game, really. Fortunately, the screen was right there at the free throw line. But the move he made on the end down here where he pump faked Rasheed and spun to the basket, even though he didn't get the hoop because they fouled him before it even happened, Rasheed did.
So the Pistons trying to mount a second half challenge here. Back to within 16. Biggest margin, biggest lead for Philly was 23.
The best thing for Detroit is that Philly's not running out right now. There's not the transition game that they just blew by the statuesque Detroit Pistons in the first half.
And is on Weber, who spins, takes him to the glass. Battle for the rebound, and it's Philly basketball, and Rasheed upset.
Well, at least some emotion. Show us that it means something to you. You're getting pounded here. The nationally televised game here. The whirling dervish take another step, Chris.
And it was changed by Joe DeRosa came over and changed the call. The Pistons now have made 5 of their last 6 shots as they attempt to mount a comeback here in Philly. Spin by Ben. He's fouled and one. Score it. If you're going to make that foul, you got to wrap his arm up.
Easier said than done. This guy is strong as can be. You talk about a guy who has made an NBA career for himself and is now at the superstar level. He just went through 3 guys. Fortunately for Philadelphia, Ben's the worst free throw shooter in the history of basketball.
But he did track it down over here. And it's a 10-2, make it a 13-2 run as Rasheed drains the 3, and O'Brien has seen enough.
But the question, can Philadelphia sustain pops ever more to the front of our minds?
The Pistons have closed to within 11 here as we start the second half. A 13-2 run. Garherd says, wait. at the Wachovia Center in Philadelphia. 76ers still lead it, but the Pistons have whittled away here, Mr. Walton.
They've tightened it up on the offensive end in terms of not turning the ball over to allow Allen Iverson and his mates to run it out. But Ben and Rashid have come to life here. In the third quarter, they already have 12 points after having combined for only 8 points in the deplorable first half.
Yeah, they were combined 1 of 12 first half. And C-Webb sit down from the left wing.
I love it the way the guys shuffle their feet to get into their jumper. And the referees yell out, that's a good play.
Rashid
standing on the perimeter. You would think that the diminutive front line that Philadelphia throws at you, just take it to the hoop every time.
Got the shooter's bounce that time, and suddenly 70-55 as Weber backs up field goals.
And a little skip to his step on that one.
Phillips gets 2 back.
This is one thing that's a problem for Jim O'Brien, because he wants normally to have his big men step out and guard the point guard coming off that high screen and roll. Chris Webber cannot do that, and will never be able to do that again. You don't want him to do that. He's going to be a basket defender for you. That time, Chauncey Billups able to get wide open.
Iguodala nails the 3 from the right corner.
And he comes up holding his elbow as if he got hit on the funny bone there.
It's his first points of the night.
Yeah, but he's had a terrific game.
Yes.
Iguodala and Kyle Korver, have been huge factors in this Philadelphia impressive performance.
And then whistles up an air ball, and that just highlights the absence of Rip Hamilton, missing his 2nd consecutive game with that injured ankle.
Well, Delfino hasn't played much this year. Delfino is a project, a rookie just coming in from Argentina. Hopefully Rip Hamilton will be able to play in the big rematch with Indiana on Friday night. Indiana able to hold on and beat San Antonio tonight.
Iverson just takes it to the rim. Aaron McKee inserted instead of Korver, and O'Brien's timeout. Sixers respond. They've made 4 in a row since that timeout. McKee steals it, feeds Iverson. He'll come in over the top. Alley-oop. Iguodala soars in for the hoop.
Forcing Garherd to call a timeout. Much needed. Iguodala, Iverson, and Allen.
He's not having hearing trouble right now, is he? An 11-2 run for the hometown Philadelphia 76ers. That was beautiful.
He flies through the air with the greatest of ease. Andre Iguodala, the rookie from Arizona. .77-57, and Bill, let's check in on the Chevy game track.
And like a rock, they are rolling here in Philadelphia tonight. Allen Iverson is the league's leading scorer. Top assist man as well. Once again, Iverson has been tremendous on everything. Chris Webber, much maligned, criticized, under a lot of scrutiny here, has come up with arguably his best game, but it's been the Allen Iverson show as Andre Iguodala throws it down. The defense for Philadelphia, normally the stronghold of the Detroit Pistons, has held the Pistons at 35% shooting. And Iverson, who leads the NBA in turnovers per game, only has 2 tonight.
And Bill, the bottom of the Eastern Conference, these teams are winning tonight. It looks like the Knicks are going to close out the Celtics in the Garden. Indiana with a win is now over 500. Chicago goes to 35 and 31, and a technical has been called on Chauncey Billups. That would drop the Celtics to 38 and 30, and the 76ers, if they hold on here, go to 33 and 34. Still 4 losses separate those two in the Atlantic, and that's a lot to make up with about 15 games left in the regular season. Delfino kicks and deflected. Iverson picks it up.
Weber's hands just so quick tonight to all the balls.
He misses the shot.
We've talked all night long about the lack of urgency that we've detected in these Detroit Pistons. Well, the urgency has to be there for this Philadelphia 76er team, battling for their lives, and they're heading west for a critical road trip next week. Sunday with the Lakers. Aren't you doing that game?
I'll be there for that game, right?
All right. Well, then they play at Sacramento. Chris Webber returns to Sacramento. Then they go down to Phoenix, and Phoenix, while they have the best road record in the NBA, is still a very good home team.
Webber doesn't get it to fall. Phoenix a winner tonight, 120-105 over Charlotte. And so for Phoenix, the best record in the league at 51-16. San Antonio tonight falls to 50-18. So they're a couple of losses behind Phoenix in that battle out west for the best record. Miami at 52-17 and not playing tonight.
Miami is easily going to win the Eastern Conference regular season. Phoenix, I think now with the Duncan injury, is hands down favorites to win the regular season there. And I think that's important because even though Phoenix has the best road record in the entire NBA, to go up against San Antonio, you have to assume that Duncan's going to be healthy or everything else is just thrown out the window. That home court advantage, I think, critically important for the Phoenix Suns against San Antonio.
Delfino missing off the front of the iron. Rashid takes a seat. Back-to-back losses, Cleveland and Philadelphia, unless the Pistons mount a huge rally here in the last quarter of a few minutes.
Brent, I'm a huge believer in the great player theory in basketball, and that great player tonight has been Allen Iverson. He has scored or assisted on 7 of Philadelphia's 8 baskets this quarter. He's got 3 hoops himself and 4 setups with the assists. Nice step out by Ben Wallace. Off Iverson's leg. Easy play to call. Joe DeRosa.
Joe runs down to the corner to get as far from him as he can.
Which is good refereeing.
Yes, it is.
You never want to take the emotion out of the game. Referees, like players, have to know when to just walk away. It's only Philadelphia's 4th turnover tonight.
Well, they're going to hand on it. It's off him. Ben goes to track it down, and away comes McKee. He lost it out of bounds.
Great to see Aaron McKee having such an impact on this game tonight. Even though the statistics won't be there, they probably will never be again for Aaron McKee. So many years, though, as one of the league's premier 6th men. And he's never a whiner, never a complainer, never points his finger at anybody. Just comes out. What a true professional.
I agree. Iverson. Almost stole it, and again he takes another fall.
They've got a 20-point lead, and he is playing with more passion on that play where he really had no chance than we've seen from any of the world champion Pistons tonight. Maybe the whole team combined.
Yeah, the Sixers going to get a big parade. Look at this. On the steal, he'll cruise for the deuce. Slam it down.
I didn't know he could dunk.
33 points for Allen Iverson here tonight against Detroit.
On a remarkable shooting percentage. And sometimes he gets 33. He's the league leading scorer at over 30 points a game. But he'll take 40 shots to get him. But not tonight.
Out of bounds, Philly ball. 18 on the shot.
Iverson, 2nd in the league in steals, 1st in minutes, 1st in scoring, now out in transition. The explosiveness. Now, Brent, you're about the same size as AI. Can you do that?
With a ladder.
It's a 22-point game again.
And Webber makes it 24, and there's their biggest margin.
You know what bodes well for Philadelphia making the playoffs this year? Is that the last 20 years, there's only been one time that the NBA's leading scorer has not made the playoffs. And that was last year with Tracy McGrady and the Orlando Magic. And while Kobe Bryant is going to try to make a valiant push to catch Allen Iverson, that would take Allen Iverson to come almost to a complete halt at this point. We see no signs of him slowing down.
Iverson was the MVP of the All-Star game this year.
And well-deserved. I mean, he came out and he set a pace. And he was on it from the opening tap.
Would never criticize his effort on the floor when the game starts. He's amazing.
And as a fan, as an alum of the NBA, as a broadcaster, that's all you want is effort.
You get your money's worth when you come and see him play.
Absolutely.
And that's worth a lot.
And I think that's one of the reasons why Chris Webber got in trouble here at the beginning, is that he doesn't play with that visual passion that Allen Iverson does.
Yeah, and this is a passionate city. It's not laid back at all.
These folks, they spill their blood and their guts every single day. Yes, it did, Allen. Yes, it did.
Allen just asked us if the dead ball had gone off him over there, and we said, yeah, it did.
But, you know, when you're that good, like Allen Iverson, and you're in a zone like he is right now, you don't think you ever make a mistake. It's the same way with John McEnroe in tennis. He'd just be so emotionally involved.
Good comparison. Play with great passion. And the whistle before the big guy shot, and goes the other way. It's going to go to the 76ers. You know, it was interesting talking to Jim O'Brien today about the criticism here in town of how things have gone. And like most quality coaches, he'll never admit that he reads or hears anything. Right. And obviously, they're very aware of what's going on around him. And he grew up in this area. He knows how tough this town is. But this team tonight reflects strong coaching by O'Brien and his entire staff.
Concur wholeheartedly. The way this team is playing right now, they can be a factor and a force in the playoffs.
I agree with you, Bill. It's a tough team tonight. You also made the, I think, very good observation. They're weak in the bench. If Dallenberg gets into early foul trouble on the best of 7, they could be in trouble down underneath.
There's Dallenberg. Iverson's got the ball on the weak side there. He's going to rotate to the basket here, just over the top, with Antonio McDyess helping and losing contact. You don't want to go that quickly. You have to watch the ball, and Antonio McDyess, the defensive error there of anticipating before the play ever materialized. 23
assists and 6 turnovers for the team from Philadelphia. Remember, Iverson was very concerned about his turnovers over the last few games. Meanwhile, Chauncey Billups has had 2 bad games in a row. Remember last night, he had 8 turnovers. I had him for at least 4 with just 3 assists for a time, and he's over on the bench watching right now as Arroyo runs the team. If there's an immediate concern for Larry Brown when he comes back this weekend, I think it's the play at the point guard.
And equally as important is the sense of complacency, the sense that Detroit as the world champions can just turn it on at any time. That is a tough way to go and win the championship.
You bet. Log on to NBAstore.com. You'll find the largest selection of NBA team gear. There's only one store for all 30 teams. Shop now at the NBAstore.com. Dallenberg retrieves it. And the buzzer. So after the Pistons close to within 11, Philly takes charge again and ends the third quarter on an 18-5 run. And they're 12 minutes away from their 33rd victory of the season.
Yeah, with the Sixers over the Pistons 84-60, I'm joined by Detroit guard Rip Hamilton. Rip, what do you think is the problem you're seeing from the bench tonight? Is it fatigue from back-to-back games, or are they missing their leading scorer?
I mean, I think we just got to play with a lot more energy. You know, I think this is a game that we definitely, want to get. We're not playing at home, so I think the Sixers playing with a lot more energy than us, and that's what we got to go out there and match.
Let's talk about your ankle. You said it's the first time ever in your career you've had an ankle injury. I heard you were going to be playing on Friday Friday, but you said that's day-to-day. What's the status?
Well, yeah, it is the first time ever in my career that I sprained my ankle with all the cuts and everything I'll be doing out there. But, you know, I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to stay day-to-day, and hopefully, you know, it'll get better by the days.
Do you think you'll be playing on Friday?
We'll see, hopefully.
Now, even with all the injuries to this team and the illness to your coach, you guys have played well in the second half. So how content are you for being in second place behind the Heat?
We're in great shape. You know, I definitely think, you know, we're in the right place that we want to be in. I think we're playing well at the right time. And, you know, we just got to keep preparing ourselves for the playoffs.
There's been so much speculation about your coach possibly leaving after this season. Do you think Larry Brown will coach this team next season?
Well, Coach loves to coach. You know, I think that the one thing about him, you know, that's what he lives on and thrives on, you know, to coach us. And we won a championship last year. Hopefully we can win it again. And if we win it again, then maybe he'll think about coming back. So, you know, we're just going to wait and see.
Rip, thanks for the time. Brent, send it back over to you.
All right, Colleen, and McDyess on the free throw line for Rip's Pistons right now. What a tumultuous season this has been during the year for coaches. 9 have been replaced. When you take a look at what's going on, Paul Silas at Cleveland, just the latest.
And as we were talking with Jim O'Brien today at our meeting, I mean, we're talking about not only top flight coaches, but top flight men, leaders, guys who have built this NBA into what it is. Scramble for the ball there off Carlos Arroyo's leg, but
here is the list, and when you think about those who have been successful, Mike Fratello at Memphis and George Karl at Denver would be at the very top of the list. And what's interesting is that they were experienced head coaches when they took over.
Well, and Mike Fratello's contribution would be even greater if they hadn't had a rash of injuries there in Memphis. But George Karl right now, I mean, what a run they're on.
Exactly. Just 2 seconds on the shot clock, folks, you may have noticed here. So that's why the length of the floor pass and out of bounds goes back over now with just inside of 11 minutes to go and a 24-point lead for the 76ers. Who would have envisioned this, as the Pistons have now gone 7-22 without a field goal, and point guard Chauncey Billups having back-to-back games to forget.
Well, Chris Webber and Allen Iverson today have combined on 40 shots to make 23 of those. Chris Webber, since he's been here in the 11 games, has shot 37%. One of the reasons why the fans have been on him. Allen Iverson is a career 41% shooter. Is right about there. I mean, he's really only shot better than 42. Iverson has one time in his career, and that was in 1998 when he shot 46%.
Defensive 3-second. Prince shot the technical for the Pistons. Ball out of bounds, sideline Detroit. Dice puts it down and kicks out to Hunter. Turns baseline, he's cut off underneath, and Hunter hoists a 3. Iguodala done lots of good work here tonight.
Well, the core of this franchise, the young core, Kyle Korver, Dallenberg, Iguodala have all had huge games tonight.
Iverson led to that foul when he lost it on the dribble on the attack, and so Korver is whistled, and Aaron McKee is back up for Coach O'Brien here with 10.5 minutes to go.
You mentioned the lack of bench productivity for Jim O'Brien.
Right.
Iverson's mad at something out there. He's throwing his fist in the air, and he's growling and grumpy. And they're ahead by 23, and you guys having a monster game. Enjoy it a little bit, Allen, please.
Prince stops out. One-on-one with Iguodala. Dallenberg helps out, and Rasheed couldn't nail the 3 ball.
Rasheed never went in the post at all today.
He is a whirling dervish, throwing himself around.
But here's a guy who's once again going to lead the NBA in minutes played. He's got a career average of 41.5 minutes per game. Allen Iverson. But his shot attempts have gone up since Chris Webber came here.
Yep.
Now, Webber's shot attempts have only dropped by 2 per game by his career mark, which is about 18.5 shots a game. And Allen Iverson has played the entire game tonight, Wilt Chamberlain style.
And he still has 10 minutes to go here. Webber watching.
Next game for Philadelphia not till Friday night here against the Toronto Raptors.
Offensive rebound. Detroit lurking around that 3-point arc, trying to get points by the bunch.
But there's just no flow. Finally a play in the post by Rashid.
And he'll be on the free throw line.
But there's no flow, and that just shows the importance and value of Rip Hamilton. Because when he plays, you see continuity. You see movement without the ball. You see multiple players touching it. That comes from so much of his great coaching background that Rip Hamilton received from Jim Calhoun up in Connecticut.
Ronald Dupree, second-year pro at Louisiana State, checks in for the Pistons, and Billups comes back. So we've got Rashid, McDyess, Dupree is on the floor, Arroyo, and Billups. And the Knicks do close out the Celtics. We see on the board here, 107-82 the final. So the Knicks put a licking on them down in the Garden.
That is a spanking. Only the second loss since the reacquisition of Antoine Walker.
Webber up firing.
The fans here have not even been vehement in their booing of the opponents. Iguodala everywhere.
Yeah, he has been all over the floor. Tries to get him another alley-oop, but it was alley-oops. And Rashid finger rolls it in at the other end.
Allen Iverson, who leads the NBA in turnovers per game at 4.5. But never forget that Magic Johnson always used to lead the NBA in turnovers as well.
Jackson got McDyess in the air, drew the foul. He'll be on the free throw line for Philadelphia. Mark Jackson, when we come back, will be shooting free throws. The 76ers closing in on the W.
Off the Spurs, Reggie Miller goes over the 25,000 career points mark, and the Suns knock off the Bobcats. So Phoenix now with a game and a half lead over San Antonio for the top spot in the West. Our second game coming up in just a few minutes. Michael Finley and the Mavericks trying to keep Avery Johnson perfect as their new head coach.
All right, Stan, and every time I see Garherd, I flash back to 1976. It was a Friday night at the Boston Garden. The finals tied, 2 victories apiece, the Celtics and the Phoenix Suns, and we were coming down to the end of the second overtime.
Who announced that game?
Rick Barry.
And Brent Musburger 29 years ago.
Garherd turnaround shot in the air. It's good. It's tied again. I don't believe it. Garfield heard at the buzzer, threw one in outside. We've got a third overtime in the Boston Garden.
And of course the Celtics won it. JoJo White had a wonderful, wonderful night. But let me tell you about Rick Barry, folks. By the time we came back, remember, we were getting paid by the game, okay? So Red Auerbach could turn the entire city of Boston against us. And Rick went and hid in the pregame. I had to take all those Boston fans on that night, tell them I was not rooting for Phoenix, but secretly I was. I wanted to go 7, get some extra cash. That was an unbelievable night. Remember, Richie Powers was attacked by a fan when they thought the game was over. All kinds of things happened in that one. It was crazy.
One of the great series of all time. Phoenix-Boston 1976, chronicled by the legend, by the master, Brent Musburger.
And he gave us the moment.
And still at it. The king, Brent. A privilege to be sitting here right next to you tonight.
But I still owe you a live post-game celebration in Portland when they went, when Barry Frank ordered us to go to the Kemper Open, and I had to throw it out. I was under assault again by all your friends up in Portland. That was amazing.
Never say a bad word anywhere about Barry Frank. A great man.
He's created a lot of different shows. 8.5 minutes. And the Pistons.
Still a 21-point lead here for Philadelphia, but they've gotten a little sloppy here. If Detroit can get serious in the offensive end and start taking it to the hoop, Philadelphia only had 3 turnovers in the first 32 minutes of this game. But in the last 7 minutes, they've had 6, so they've doubled it up in a very short time. But the Pistons haven't been able to capitalize. What a pass by Weber. Oh, goodness gracious.
Tried to give it back, and Iverson reaches back to foul Arroyo.
So another turnover for Allen Iverson and the Sixers, who now have 10 on the game.
Still 8 minutes left in this game. And we watch it. Arroyo, who was breaking away after he had crossed into the attack court. So the NBA TV tomorrow, Dallas and Sacramento. Coverage begins at 10 p.m. Eastern. ABC on Sunday. Houston at San Antonio, 1 Eastern. On TNT next Thursday, March 31st, Cleveland at Chicago, followed by Minnesota at the Lakers, and that coverage begins at 8 Eastern on TNT.
What a game it's going to be Friday night down in Miami.
Won't that be a
Phoenix at the Heat. The 2 top teams in the NBA, quite possibly an NBA Finals preview.
Yeah, you have to think about that now with Tim Duncan's injury problem in San Antonio. Rebound by the 76ers. Detroit almost needs points every trip down the floor, really.
And they need better defense. But the spark that Iguodala has given them, the relentless attack of Allen Iverson, not sure they're going to be able to take Philly out of their game.
Iverson, the open floor, tried to get it to Iguodala, turns it over, lead back, stolen by McKee.
Allen Iverson's had about 6 turnovers here in about the last 4 minutes.
Played the entire game.
Wilt did that for a whole season.
Amazing career. Back to Iguodala. The 3. He's had a sweet game here tonight.
A floor game. These are the type of game that the coaches appreciate. And the fans, when they see the effort that he puts out on the defensive end, the way he runs the floor and always has such a positive attitude about his game and his team. What's not to love? Iverson back to the free throw line.
That field goal, Bill, was Philly's first this quarter by Iguodala.
Yeah. Iverson going for the unfortunate triple-double.
The one to forget triple-double.
But as we said earlier, you got to be pretty good to get that many turnovers. Otherwise, the coach is just going to put you on the bench. There's no way that Iverson's coming out. Doing all of this with the broken thumb, Allen Iverson. Heat check here by Andre Iguodala.
Up over the top. .21 lead for Jim O'Brien and the 76ers here tonight. And it's against the defending NBA champions with Iverson logging an entire game so far. Turnaround Rashid. And I'm disappointed that I haven't seen Milicic. There's Dupree throwing it down. He looked pretty strong on that play, didn't he? 6'7", second year out of LSU. There's Darko.
And that's how deep he's buried. And they're getting pounded here. And their big guys have not got the job done. And yet still Darko, not even a sniff.
Jackson is fouled. Goes out of bounds at the end line. So 5:41 to go, 90-71, all Philadelphia.
ESPN's presentation of NBA Wednesday, brought to you by KFC. Try the new 99-cent snacker and shatter your game time hunger. Scion, the new car brand. Scion, what moves you? And Marriott Hotels and Resorts, going above and beyond. It's the Marriott way.
Jason Richardson's got a new running mate in Baron Davis. That should make for an entertaining game in the second half of our doubleheader. It's the Mavericks and the Warriors right after you guys are done in Philly, Brent.
All right, Sam, we're wrapping it up here. And for Philadelphia and Allen Iverson, they've had 24 assists tonight on 36 field goals, and they've had 11 turnovers. But on those 11 turnovers, Detroit has been able to score only 5 points several times after turnovers by Allen. The Sixers have gotten it right back. Now, on the other side, Detroit tonight, with 11 assists on their 22 field goals, they've turned it over 17 times. Starting point guard, 4 assists and 6 turnovers for Chauncey Billups.
Back-to-back stinkers for Chauncey in Cleveland last night as the Pistons ran out of the Gund Arena.
Jackson drains the throw. And it's a 21-point margin here. The Sixers' biggest lead of the game, 26.
Philadelphia, not a noted defensive team. They have held this world champion Pistons squad to 34% shooting.
And 4 of 15 from three-point range. Meanwhile, the Sixers have hit 8 of 14 three-point shots. Kyle Korver is 3 of 4. Iguodala is 2 of 2. And Allen's 2 of 5.
So will Allen Iverson play the whole game?
Does not come off the floor.
Interesting with being in the city of Philadelphia, where Wilt Chamberlain is from. 32 years after Wilt Chamberlain retired, he still holds 56 individual NBA records.
There's a nice pull-up jump shot for Carlos Arroyo. He's now 3 of 4.
Imagine being a backup point guard for Larry Brown. And that's how tough it's been for Carlos to try to come in and establish himself. Mark Jackson, a nice free throw line jumper. I think he's one of the critical elements if Philadelphia is going to have success. I mean, you got to get Rodney Rogers in shape. Mark Jackson has to become more consistent, particularly on the defensive end. He needs to spend so much of his efforts on the offensive half of the court.
If you look at the Eastern Conference standings,
right,
you can think about the possibility of Detroit and perhaps Philadelphia hooking up. Should Philly be able to catch and pass Indiana to that 7th spot? Iguodala and Darko will make an appearance. We will see Milicic after all here for a few minutes. Dice slams it down.
Beautiful drop step. But most appropriate comment about Darko Milicic, because he's been just brutalized in the media, is that when Mr. Davidson, the owner of the Pistons, said that, look, we don't need Carmelo Anthony. We have Tayshaun Prince. Exactly. This was at a time when Tayshaun Prince was not doing much at all. But that statement turned out to be prophetic.
So here comes Milicic and Delfino. Dallenberg. Now, you might be wondering why Iverson and these fellas are still out here. Jim O'Brien wants to deliver a message to Detroit here tonight. He even talked about it when he was over there in the huddle. And we had a microphone over there. Listen now to Coach Jim O'Brien.
Yeah, and everyone listen to me. This is when we are at our best. This is what we want to beat these guys badly. Okay, we might have to play these guys in the playoff.
Interesting philosophy as Coach O'Brien wants to deliver a message here to the defending champions. What's your feeling about that one?
I think that's important. You have to develop the psychological confidence that you can get it done. 3 games already played between these two teams this year, and Detroit has won convincingly in all 3 of them. Tonight, though, from the opening tab, it has been Allen Iverson, Chris Webber, and the entire Sixers squad. Up in the passing lane again, Iverson.
Dupree showing us a little athletic ability on his field goals here tonight.
This is what Jim O'Brien wants.
Does that look right?
He wants that sense of, look, they may not believe that they can get it done here against this Philadelphia upstart squad.
Iverson is fouled. 3:17 to go. The leader of the Philadelphia 76ers and his new running mate, Chris Webber, and Iguodala has really contributed here tonight.
Willie Green, a lost man here now in Philadelphia, playing behind Allen Iverson. What a great job, right? Playing behind the guy who leads the league in minutes per game.
To take Iguodala out. He'll get a nice ovation.
Well deserved by this outstanding rookie.
One of the best rookies in the NBA this year.
When you look at the all-rookie team, I mean, I think you got 4 pretty solid spots. And Okafor and Howard down in Orlando. Ben Gordon, who is, as you said, likely to win or possibly win Rookie of the Year and 6th Man of the Year at the same time. And then Andre Iguodala.
Yeah, there's 4 good ones. Iverson brings it down, playing the entire game here tonight. Inside the 3 minutes. Take out West. Dallas. Avery Johnson, the new coach. Golden State Warriors give it back to Iverson on a cut off of C-Webb. Now there it is.
That's what we've been waiting for. Why don't they do that play all the time? Because Webber, at this point in his career, he would rather pass it.
Campbell turns baseline. 2:20 to go, and 22nd timeout has been called here. Strategic planning there, Bill.
Nothing better than being on a team. One that moves the ball, the camaraderie. How sweet it is.
Iverson here, Bill. What a night. 39 points, 15 of 26 from the field, and 10 assists.
Fabulous performance from the outset, and an outstanding field goal percentage tonight for Allen Iverson. Inspirational leadership. Got Chris Webber involved. Chris Webber compliments him right back with some nice dimes that he dropped.
Green rattles it in off the bench. The crowd appreciates. He's very good to the community. He goes and reads to a lot of youngsters. Green really gives back here to Philadelphia. He's a very popular young man.
He's from Detroit here, so he's got a lot of family back in Detroit watching this game tonight. Just frustrating right now for him because he was supposed to be the guy who was going to be a huge star in the backcourt with Allen Iverson.
There's the Wyoming kid from Laramie. And Josh Davis nails it.
Iverson just never stops. He's just having a good time with the ice on the broken thumb there. Chip fracture. Can only hope that's going to be okay. Sure didn't seem to slow him down much tonight.
No, the Sixers are 10 of 16 from Trace. Miss on that 3. Yo, Bill, some folks I want to thank did a great job tonight. Our producer, Ed Fiveshoff. First game I've had the pleasure of working with him, been excellent. Our director, of course, Jimmy Moore, always does a superb job. He's got the Red Sox and the Yankees coming up on ESPN next week. And our stats guy, Ethan, the numbers, Cooperson out here. So thanks to all who have helped us. And a triple-double now, I am told, for Iguodala. How about that? A sensational game. Dallenberg hugs him over there on the side. And look, Iguodala gets back with still another steal. He's been all over the floor.
Well, they took him out, and then I was surprised that they put him back in, that they've gone to the kiddie core here for Philadelphia.
Stephen A. Start touting him for Rookie of the Year. You're a Philly guy. Get him behind Iguodala now. Something positive about these guys. Spin by Green. You know, this might be the best performance of the season for the 76ers.
And at a perfect time, Philly shoots 54% of the night. A perfect win for them. Kudos to Jim O'Brien here.
So that does it from here. Dallas or Golden State next. For Colleen Dominguez Bill Walton. I'm Brent Musburger. Right now, let's send you to Stan Verandon. We'll join ESPN News.
Iverson, 39 points. You had a pace no one could match tonight. How much urgency are you guys playing with because you're barely clinging to that 8th playoff spot?
A lot of urgency. We understand that every game is a playoff game for us right now. You know, we're in the 8th spot right now, but we're trying to move up and make some things happen. But we understand that we got to take it one game at a time and play every game like it's our last.
It looks like the chemistry is really coming together, at least tonight. Andre and Chris both had amazing games. Talk about what they did.
I mean, they did a great job. I mean, Dre been doing a great job for us all year. You know, he plays older than his age, and he's only going to get better. It's going to be a little bit more time for Chris to get adjusted, but, I mean, he's a pro. You know, we all pros, and, you know, somehow we got to get some chemistry out of it. But everybody's going to say, you know, we played well together when we get a win. It's just when we don't win games, then people are going to say we can't coexist. But I definitely think that we can. I'm glad Billy King made the trade, and it looked positive for our future.
You've been icing that broken thumb the last few minutes. How's it feeling?
Terrible. It feels terrible, but it always feels a lot better, you know, when you get a win. Usually tomorrow morning it'll be feeling terrible, but when I wake up and know that we won, it'll feel a lot better. So I'm fighting through it. You know, I'm just trying to be the warrior that I am and just try to get things done and keep my turnovers down somehow.
Any chance that thumb will keep you out of any future games?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I doubt it. You know, I honestly think I got other things on my body that hurt worse than my thumb. But, I mean, I've been playing through injuries all my career, and, you know, it's nothing new. You know, I'm trying to make something happen for this organization, and, you know, I can't do that if I'm sitting on the sideline. So I'm willing to get in every game and fight with my teammates.
AI, thanks for the visit.
And so the victory not only extends their lead over Orlando for the final playoff spot to a full game, but don't look now. They're just one game back of Indiana for the 7th spot. And if you want to project far ahead, the home court advantage in the first round is still within reach for Philadelphia. They're only 4 games back of the Wizards for that 4th spot in the Eastern Conference, which, of course, would get you home court advantage throughout the first round. But that's way down the road right now. Philadelphia just happy to be victorious in this game against the Pistons. When we